Alright guys, in this tutorial we're going to cover how to access a column from a pre-existing Pandas data frame, and we're also going to cover how to create a column in a pre-existing Pandas data frame. Okay, so this is just a follow-up from the previous tutorial. We're still going to use the same data file, again just as a friendly reminder. So then this data has information related to an auction website, so then users, they list their product there, and then they keep track of different attributes related to the listing. So when it was listed, when the listing ended, and other different attributes that they keep track. And then at the end of the day, what it matters is what was the selling price. And typically they compare the selling price with the average selling price of that product category. Okay, so it's the same data file from the previous 3 tutorials. So let's start by importing Pandas, read the data into Python using Pandas data frame, and create a data frame called df. All right, so now let's just get into it. So then, for example, let's say for some reason I'm interested in just taking a deep dive into start price. So if you want to access a pre-existing column in a data frame, so typically there are a few different options. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is just one option. Okay, but then what I always mention is that, especially when it comes to writing code, and that's one of the good aspects of coding in general, is you will find at least 2 different answers to get to the same correct answer. Or let me say that one more time. So you will find at least 2 different approaches to get to the right answer. Okay, so in this case, again, let's say for some reason we are interested on the column called start price. So if I want to access that column, so let's start with adding a comment. So accessing the start price column. So then the syntax is the following. Okay, so you start by typing the name of the data frame, followed by square brackets, and then between the square brackets you need to enter the name of the column that you want to access in quotes. So then in this case, the name of the data frame that we create is called df, then square brackets, and then in quotes we type start price, and that's it. So that will access all of the values that are stored under the column called start price. Okay, so that's one way. Another way it will be to do the following. So second approach to access the start price column. So you will start with the name of the data frame, which in this case is df dot start price, and that will also access all of the values that they are stored under the start price column. Now, something that I want to emphasize here is that this particular approach, it only works as long as there is no blank spaces in the name of the column, which is the case here. Okay, so, and I think all of the column names, they don't have any blank spaces, so then this approach will work. But if for some reason the column that you are interested in has a blank space and you are trying to use the dot syntax to access that column, probably you will run into some error messages. Okay, so all right, so that's how you can access a column. Okay, and then at that point you can start doing some analysis on it. So for example, if I want to I don't know, let's say computing the mean of a start price column, so then you will do df start price and then that mean. So that will compute the average value of all of the values stored under the start price, which in this case is 45.57. Okay, so you can compute the mean, you can compute the median, so standard deviation, whatever statistic that you may be interested in, you can easily compute it, using the appropriate commands. Okay, now what if now I'm interested on creating a new column. Okay, a new column that, let's say, just for illustration purposes, that happens to be a star price square, for example. Okay, so let's say I want to create a new column, and that column is going to be the square of star price. Okay, so creating a new column. Okay, so if you want to create a new column, basically the syntax is the following. So you start with df square brackets. Now in quotes, you need to enter the name that you want to assign to this new column. So let's call it start price square. Okay. And then basically after the equal sign, that's where you will enter the calculation that you're going to perform. So then df, so start price, and then using Python notation, we can do the following: asterisk asterisk. So that means exponentiation in Python, and then square. Okay. Now if I print the head now I need to scroll all the way to the right, and then now you will see the new column that we just create. Okay, and that's basically what it is. Okay, it's very simple to create a new column in a pre-existing Pandas data frame. So the name of the data frame followed by square brackets, and then in quotes you need to enter the name that you want to assign to this new column, and then after the equal sign, then you enter the formula that you want to consider for this new calculation. And notice that this new column doesn't have to be some function from a pre-existing column. Okay, so then for example I can also do the following. So creating a constant column. Okay, so I can do df constant, right? Let's say I'm gonna call it constant. Let's say I want to assign the value of 10. So now that command basically just create a new column with the name constant, and then it assigns the value 10 for all of the rows. Okay, so it doesn't have to be always a function from a pre-existing column. It could be a constant, or it could be something else, depending on the problem that you're working on. Okay, but that's basically it. If you want to access one column, you start by typing the name of the data frame followed by square brackets, and then between the square brackets you type the name of the column that you want to access in quotes. If you want to create a new column, so you start by typing the name of the data frame, square brackets, and then in quotes you enter the name that you want to assign to this new column, and then after the equal, so then you either enter the formula that you're going to use to compute this new column, or it will be something like assigning a constant or whatever the case may be. Okay, all right, that's all I have on this video. See you on the next one.